Alright, so last we left off, we've been following the story of Michelle's childhood, I guess, and learning about his entire story, what his deal was. I've been saying before, but there was one more secret he was hiding from Giselle, and this is it, right? And, and I guess even before that, we learned a bit about Morgana as well, is the idea. So, I mean, just in general, I guess, near the ending of this game, we're getting revelations, is the idea. So we've been following Michelle, and I guess, just in general, I mean, there's a word for this. I guess you would call it gender dysphoria? Dysphoria, right? Dysphoria, that's the word? Is what Michelle's experiencing right now. But was there, well, I don't know, was there a word for that in 1099? I don't know. Again, not exactly 1099. I just remember 1099 because that was the year that was frequently mentioned at the start of Michelle and Giselle's story in the very beginning. But anyway, well, let's see. So after having a confrontation between some drunk dude, a bit of an asshole to be honest, and then getting some I guess. What's the word? Consultation? I don't know if that's the right word, but basically hang out with Ami, which I assume is Michelle's crush, but also his brother's fiance, so that makes it awkward. We'll see anyway. Ami frequently visited my chambers. I don't know if it was at Mother's request or of her own volition, but I prayed it was the latter. She was a very touchy-feely person, okay, and she seemed to have a particular fondness for playing in my hair. Whenever her voice danced its way into my ears, it would wreak havoc inside me. Being enveloped in her scent day after day stoked the fire growing within me. I did my best to remain as straight-faced as possible because the last thing I wanted was her catching on. I understood the things I was feeling were untoward, to say the least. Your hair is so utterly enchanting. I've never seen hair so white before. I think having color is much prettier. Oh, well, Georgia says white is the most difficult color to make with paint. There's no greater challenge than capturing the beauty of true white. Living with such a splendid example of the color must have given it a very high standard of quality. Also, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but Ami kind of reminds me of Dahlia Hawthorne, by the way, a character in Phoenix Story, if you didn't know. Same general hairstyle and face, I don't know. Say, Michelle, maybe you could tell me about yourself today. I would love to get to know you better. Tell you about myself. Yeah, we could become even better friends if we found some mutual interests. I enjoy playing chess, and I consider myself quite good. Oh my, chess? That's for nerds. No, I've never played. You're such a bright girl, Michelle. Would you like to try? I could teach you. I appreciate the offer, but I think I'll pass. I doubt I would be any good. Okay. What else is there? Say, your favorite kind of flower, fragrance, color of gemstone. Are there any embroidery patterns you're particularly skilled at? I'll go, oh boy, back to embroidery. I don't have any favorites, no. And I'm not especially good with a needle either. No? Do you have shaky hands then? I wouldn't say that, no. I'm fairly good with a knife, I think. Knife? A knife? Oh, like a kitchen knife. No, I mean like murdering people. I mean, no, a sculpting knife. Sculpting? Is that really so strange? It is a bit unusual, I'd say. But George's does it all the time. His room is practically made of wood chips and charcoal and paint. George's is an artist, and a man. There's nothing unusual about him doing some sculpting. Why is it okay from him, but not me? Does being a girl really make that much of a difference? Well, in the what do you call it? The 1090s? I don't know how you say how when you refer to the years like the 80s, the 70s, the 90s, or whatever. You in my head anyway, it's the 1990s, 1980s, 1970s, or whatever. Is how you refer to them. How would you refer to a year in the thousands? I guess I don't know how you would say it. Technically, it around the 80s and 90s, but it's like the 1080s and 90s. But anyway, Well, you see, the civil rights movement hasn't been invented yet. Michelle? No, why don't we practice embroidery together, Michelle? I get the feeling you spent too much time with your brothers. But now you have me. I'm sure it won't be long before you appreciate how much fun cooking and needlework can be. Okay. She sounds just like Mother. She gives the same reason too. Because I'm a girl. But that's not an explanation. It's a vague generalization. That said, if I agree, I can spend more time with her. Okay. Wonderful. We'll come up with beautiful designs together. And when you've made something you're proud of, you can give it to a boy who catches your eye. Or if you prefer, you could give it to your father or brother. I would like George's to have what I make, though. Oh, I've been wondering, did you and George's meet at the royal court? Oh heavens, no. I've never been to court. One day my father told me I was getting married. And the next day is when we first met. It happened that quickly. What, are you worried about me, Michelle? Don't worry. I'm not displeased with the arrangement. In fact, I'm quite happy with it. Aristocratic marriages are almost always sudden. And as a woman, you get used to being a piece in their games. But George's, he's different. He's a gentleman. A gentleman? Him? You sound surprised. I believe heatheness suits him better. Oh, I quite disagree. I have complete faith he'll do good by me. I couldn't fathom where she found such confidence in him. Especially a man she just had only met. How could she trust him at all? She was nothing but a pawn, and she knew it. And that's just how it works. Definitely Michelle's the weird one, at least in this society. Because that's exactly how it works. And you think it's weird, but you're the weird one, I guess, but... yeah, nothing but a pawn, she knew it. So maybe she was simply putting on an act. I had trouble believing her smile was anything but genuine, though. One day you'll meet the right man for you, Michelle. And he won't be a drunk like that guy from earlier. He'll be a kind, hard-working, respectable man. I would rather not find anyone. I suppose it's all too soon for you, huh? Say, how old are you, Michelle? 14. Oh, wow, I assumed you were younger. Do I really look that young? No hard feelings. You're just a tiny little doll, so small and slender. And look, not one bit of meat up here at all. Hey. She painfully grabbed me from behind and started prodding at my chest. As her delicate fingers slid across my skin, I found myself gripped by very indecent urges. Oh no. Every heavy thought in my heart felt sinful. She couldn't know. I couldn't let her. Everything I had been fighting to keep down came hurtling to the surface. You're so cold, you know that? She was touching me like it was nothing, caressing my hair. Was she this intimate with George's? Or was it because I was a younger girl that she was so keen on putting her hands all over me? Before I understood what I was feeling, my body acted. It was pure, unfiltered impulse. Nenny? And then I suplexed her. In my attempt to escape from her grip, I twisted around only to find my face inches from Amy's. Slowly gravitating closer, I pressed my lips against the corner of her mouth. Amy sat there flabbergasted. I was equally aghast. I'm sorry. As I frankly put some distance between us, I'm sure my face was red as an apple, though I didn't know it at the time. Well, that was certainly unexpected. I'm sorry, did I make you uncomfortable touching you so much? Amy was smiling, though I looked forced. No, not at all. Then I must have startled you. I'm sorry, if I let you go sooner, we could have avoided this accident. What do you mean, accident? A kiss on the lips wasn't an accident. But girls can't love girls, wasn't that meme? I remember that meme, I think it's from Madoka, of a girl just like putting her hands on her face, I think, and saying, girls can't love girls. Oh no. Even though technically, in the future, Michelle isn't a girl, but anyway. It wasn't, I seem to have confused you somewhat, Michelle. What? I know I can be very touchy-feely with you, and you took that to mean you should do the same. No. You can't do that again, alright? If you want to kiss your friends, you do it on the cheek. Save the lips for the man you love. I should get going then. Amy's very understandable, considering the times anyway. George just starts getting cranky if I don't give him enough attention. Hold on, Amy. So long, Michelle. She wouldn't hear me out. Once Amy had fled my chambers, that was when I fully comprehended my own emotions, that she has stolen my heart. When Amy was George's fiancée. No, that wasn't the problem. My body, was not meant for her love. Nerg. I woke in the middle of the night to pain in my joints. Not enough exercise, I guess. I tried bending and stretching my arms and legs, but did nothing. So after pondering on it for a bit, I decided to go for a late night walk to distract myself. As I approached the corridor adjacent to the courtyard, I heard a woman's voice. Uh-oh. I'm still concerned about staying here. Amy's voice. Doing my best to remain perfectly quiet, I pressed myself up against the wall by the window and listened in on their conversation. I knew it was improper to eavesdrop, but the sound of her voice had me frozen in place. It's Michelle. I'm afraid I've confused her. I made her gay. Basically, is what Amy thinks anyway. A tiny chill ran down my spine, my muscles all tensing up at once. The sound of my name rising to her lips, not in the way I would have liked. She kissed me. Well, almost, but how could I guess she thought of me that way? Mother told me she didn't have any female friends, and asked me to be one for her, which is why... So she had only been coming to see me because Mother had asked me to, or asked her to. I had been afraid of that. Afraid that she wasn't there to be with me. That she had no fondness for me. That my yearning for her was one-sided. She kinda scares me, the way she looks at me, always watching every little move I make. I'm sensitive to that sort of thing. I could tell what's going through Michelle's mind. I managed to deflect it this time. I parried it, and riposted. But I should have never gotten friendly with her. She has seen through me from day one. Understood what I was feeling before even I had. It's disgusting. Homosexuality. Homosexuality that's a funny word. The way it's localized, because I don't imagine in the 1000s or whatever back then. I don't think they had a word for that. Homosexuality was a word that was invented, when modern medicine, I guess, and modern psychology in particular was a thing, and that's not really a thing in medieval times, I feel like, or whatever. I don't know how I'm not exactly where the 1000s, 1080s, 1090s, or whatever, the 1070s. I'm not entirely sure. Again, the actual year. But it wasn't really a thing back then. Though I wonder, because it's been localized, maybe there was a Japanese word for it, because in Japanese maybe there's a word for it that's not exactly the same in English, but anyway. Homosexuality, what's that? Did I hear her right? Something inside me crumbled, and with it came an intense sense of wrongness. There it was again, that overpowering discomfort, that fear coursing through my veins, that repulsion, that irritation, that apprehension. What on earth was I? Did I view Amy as a member of the same sex? Were the things I felt homosexual? Homosexual. That's a funny word, I don't know why. Anyway, I heard Amy sigh from behind the window. Just saying out loud, I don't know, anyway. Then the man beside her, who was confiding all this in, replied, She's still just a child, okay? Man. That voice. And what with underdeveloped social skills. Besides, understand that she's going to do and say some inappropriate things. So uncommon for a child to admit mistake admiration for love. I didn't know this until recently, but when she gets something into her head, she has a tendency to run with it without thinking. It was not the man I assumed it was. The other day, she asked me to let her be a knight. I can't imagine how she thought would end. I can't imagine how she thought that would end in any other way. Why? It's not very often there are women other than mother at the estate. I imagine she simply got nervous being around you and something got mixed up in her head. Why was Diddy out there with her? It's called, NTR? I hope that's all it was. Amy, hadn't you told me you thought Georges was a gentleman? Or she was thinking of somebody else. So what were you doing, getting so friendly with Didier? And Didier, Weren't you my ally? Or is that all an act like her? You're going to be a knight, so why are you out here with your brother's fiancée? I'm glad to have you here, so I hope you can figure something out to make it work. I'll do what I can, and I'm kind of reluctant to say this to you, but something has to change. As it is, she kind of grosses me out. You know, she's too gay, basically. That's basically what I'm saying. Too gay. She grosses me out. So what? I was some kind of sick, disgusting creature? All I had done was show feelings for her. I mean, to be fair, it was a little sudden. Like a kiss on the lips? That sudden? That's a little bit too much, I guess. But I imagine Amy wouldn't be okay with it either way, you know? Just asked her, hey, by the way, you know? Would you like to kiss? She'd probably say, no, you're disgusting. Most likely. Anyway. I couldn't be Georges or Didier. The needles piercing me expanded, both in size and number. Soon I was being skewered by a dozen of them, and the heated sighs rising from the courtyard only served to make the pain worse. All I could do was cover my ears and run. Why? What were you doing out there, Didier? I mean, just from, you know, just from the scene itself, it didn't seem like they were doing anything. They were just talking, you know? Hang out. But maybe, well, obviously the implication definitely is that they're having an affair. How am I gross, Abby? It's not real. It's all a bunch of lies. The entire house is nothing but a fraud. None of it was ever real. The family gatherings, Amy's smiles, Didier's kindness, George's. What about George's? He agreed to the marriage knowing about them? What the hell were they thinking? You want to know who's really disgusting? God damn it. I will not cry. I will not cry. Can't let myself. Girls cry. Tears are for girls. Not for me. So, I guess I said it before, but, you know. That's not necessarily the case, but you know. I bit down hard on my lip, wrapped myself in my sheets, and pressed my hands hard over my ears. Squeezed my eyes shut as tight as I could manage, trying to get away from things I had seen. Images of them embracing in the night threatened to float back to the surface, but I shook my head, casting them off. Praying I wouldn't have any nightmares, I drifted off to sleep. The next day, I awoke with a terrible fever. I hovered in a sweltering wave of heat, unable to tell a dream and reality apart, listening to a seemingly endless stream of crackling noises. Cracking noises? The sounds were coming from inside my body. I thought it was falling apart. I guess gotta stretch some more? I don't know, I mean, I guess Michelle already did that. Mother was horribly worried. I'd never been the most healthy child, but I'd never fallen this ill. I've never fallen this ill either. I couldn't get out of bed. My voice was raspy like an old woman's. I was genuinely afraid I would wither away and die. Mother called in doctor after doctor to see me, but they all said it was a flu. That bodily pain was common with a fever. While there was a doctor in the house, Mother was able to remain relatively calm, but once they were gone, the anxiety came back. She stayed with me day and night, even foregoing sleep. Her hands gripped mine, they held me fast. She had her head bowed as if in prayer. Don't worry, it'll be alright, Michelle. God is watching over you, He will protect you. You are His child. You are His angel sent to Earth. He will not forsake you. The doctor says it's just the flu. Did the flu... I wonder, actually. I don't know, actually. Did the flu... That's another thing. That's another word. Did that exist in the medieval times? Did they know what the flu was? Because the idea of, like, viruses and bacteria wasn't really a thing until much later on, I feel like, you know? In fact, you know, for example, like, surgeons... They wouldn't like wash their hands when they do surgery, you know. So often people would die from infection because they didn't know. They would need to actually sanitize your hands, you know, and make sure it's not dirty and full of other people's blood before they start operating on other people as well. And you know that's what caused a lot of deaths because of that, as it turns out. So like I don't know if they knew what the flu was. I wonder. I don't know. Is it like is it just like a weird like historical thing, or not historical thing, but it's a weird thing with the writer just didn't care about that, or maybe they use a different word again in Japanese. I'm not sure. Anyway, though her words seemed to be directed at me, there was a vacantness in her voice, as if they were really for herself. I don't know, the flu. Yeah, I feel like the flu, the common cold, words for like these diseases, this pathology, I guess. Oh, I have no idea, actually. Again, I'm not really good with history, so like, I don't know if those words were a thing back in the day. I feel like it's only around I don't know. It was around like until modern medicine, I guess. The idea of like beyond like leeches, I guess, the idea of not using leeches on people. After that is when people started realizing what the flu was, I feel like. But I don't know, before that, I mean, they would just use leeches, right? For everything, I think? Or something like that. Maybe not, but for so long, she had wanted a daughter. I couldn't understand her fixation. But seeing her there through my cloudy eyes, I wanted to apologize for ever thinking spending time with her was agonizing. How are you feeling? Your mother's here for you, don't worry. But the only sound that came from my mouth was a faint gasp. I had drifted in and out of sleep, mother's hand wrapped around my own. And I had numerous dreams. In my dreams, I was a man. In my dreams, I was Didier and I was Georges. In my dreams, I fell in love with Amy. And in my dreams, I loved her. You're disgusting. With one word, the dreams twisted into the nightmares. My body was torn into fleshy chunks, and I sunk into the darkness. What's that in Japanese? Kimochi warui, I think is how you say that. Kimochi warui. Kimochi meaning like feeling, just in general. Kimo. I guess it's kimo. You can say kimo, I think. Kimo warui, kimochi warui. I don't know. And then, yeah, that's not right though. Kimochi warui means like bad feeling. Anyway, because warui means bad. Anyway, maybe she said kimoi. I think it's kimoi, right? Kimoi. I think kimoi means like disgusting. Like ugh. Like ew. Kimoi. I think that's what it means. I could be mistaken. Anyway, several days later, my fever was gone, like it had never been there. However, what the? My voice did not recover. And when I attempted to climb from my bed, the murderous pain in my joints came rushing back. Instead of my feet, I landed on my face. My voice was unbelievably deep. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing voice training, is all I have to say about that. You can just get a really deep voice just from that. That's I've been interested in like voice acting in general, and I really respect people who can like train themselves to have like a really wide voice range, especially the ones that kind of like crosses over gender barriers. From what I've seen, it's like it's hard to do that. So for Michelle to just do it over a few days, I don't know how did you do that. That's an amazing trick. Anyway. And the pain only got worse. Every time I took a breath, it felt like someone hammering a spike into the back of my neck. I felt like my body was falling apart. Like my dreams were becoming reality. Michelle! When Mother scrambled to my chambers, I remembered the time she had spent at my bedside, and a wave of relief came over me. I reached my hand out in a show of vulnerability, but she didn't take it. She couldn't take it. Mother. This is all like, Mother. No, What's wrong with your voice, Michelle? I see. You're still not feeling good, are you, Michelle? A look of restrained fear on her face, Mother stepped toward me, placing her hand on my forehead. Her palm felt hot against my skin. You don't have a fever. But I hurt all over. My joints. You're still sick, Michelle. But don't worry, you'll be fine in no time. And now back to bed with you. You're a girl, so you shouldn't be sitting on the floor. It's bad for your back. As Mother repeated the phrase, you're a girl, again and again, that nagging sense that something wasn't quite right grew more distinct. Was I really sick? Was this actually my voice now? Now I wonder, like, because, I mean, in real life, if you have a deep voice, it's hard to tell actually. Sometimes, like, even women have deep voices, and it's hard to tell whether or not, or rather, it's hard to tell that whether or not they're actually a man, because they just have a deep voice. That's all it is. And some guys have like really high voices, but they still sound like guys. It depends on like if you see them, like if you just hear the voice itself, maybe, but usually, I mean, there's more to it than that, I guess. There's like intonation, I guess, the way you say things as well, and also, just in general, like appearance, body language, the way, and things like that. So even if you're a girl with a deep voice, you might still, people might still see you as a girl anyway, because they just, in their heads, they just see you, and you present as a woman anyway. But what I'm thinking though, like maybe it's not just that, it's more so like, maybe in Japanese, again, another Japanese thing, but maybe Japanese, maybe Michelle's using different pronouns, or not pronouns, is that the right word? I think that's the right word, but like using like the way to refer to himself, instead of using like, watashi, or like, a feminine way of saying it, maybe he's using, more a masculine thing, like boku or ore, Basically like first, what do we call it? I think they're called first person pronouns, right? I could be wrong, I don't know, I already forgot how grammar works, but like, the like I, basically. In English, there's no, there's no rules for that, I guess, in English. You just refer to yourself as me, or like I would like to go to the store, or whatever. But in Japanese, there are different ways to refer to yourself. Usually you try not to, but there are different ways to refer to yourself, and depending on how you do, there's like sometimes a more feminine way to say it, and there's like a more masculine way to say it. And I wonder if Michelle's doing that right now. Anyway, and if it was, what was I turning into? My voice was certainly not a girl's voice. My voice never went back to normal though, so Mother ordered me to remain in my room. I hadn't recovered yet, and so long as I was sick I couldn't be let out. Again, something felt wrong about her calling it a sickness, but I had no evidence to the contrary. I had no way to know I would get others sick if I exposed them, as she claimed, so I had no choice but to do as she said. Like, yes, the deep voice disease. Everyone gets a deep voice when you get infected by it, I guess. In time, Mother too stopped visiting me, and the only people I saw were servants. They did their job, but refused to look me in the eye. No one else came to see me though. Not Amy, Didier, or George's. 1 month passed, then 2, then 3. Occasionally, the pain in my joints would withdraw, at other times it would worsen. Whenever I would drift off to sleep, I would hear the sound of my own joints creaking. I would dream of a woman standing in the courtyard, her soft chestnut hair fluttering in the wind as she twirled to face me, a smile on her face and her breasts exposed. Lewd. I can't show that. I'll get banned on Twitch. One day, after 6 months of servants refusing to make eye contact with me, I stopped one and made a request to have a mirror brought to my room. While he didn't acknowledge me, the next day I had my mirror. By that point, I was fairly certain I knew what was happening to my body. I had no clothes to wear, because none of the multicolored dresses hanging in my wardrobe fit me anymore. Pulling the heavy red cloth covering the mirror aside, my completely naked body came to view. Hopefully it doesn't show an actual naked body again. I mean, that already happened once, but, at least it covered the nipples. Anyway. Something resembling a mix of chuckle and a sigh of pity spilled from my lips. This is me. 6 months. After only 6 months' time, I could hardly recognize myself. Extending my hand from the mirror, I traced the outline of my bony reflection. My shoulders lacked mother's curves, and my skin Amish sheen. I was pale and haggard, but structurally I looked like my brothers. Obviously, being younger than them and not as active, my muscles lacked any kind of strength, but I would have batted an eye if I saw myself holding a sword. I was a full head taller than I had been 6 months earlier, and I felt an odd certainty that I wasn't done growing either. I've become a Bishon, and I guess puberty finally hit, I guess? How's this work, by the way? I mean, this is just magic. Because unless you've been taking your testosterone somehow, I don't know who's been giving Michelle hormones, but staring at myself in the mirror, I traced my name across the surface. Michelle. Don't need the last two. Michelle. Michel. There you go. He just became a Bishon, and somehow, how's that work? What? Huh? This is magic. It's just magic. I don't know. For the first time in my life, I liked my name. I still didn't think an angel's name suited me one bit, but it was staggering how different it felt now, even if it sounded exactly the same. Those last two letters changed the meaning entirely, turning it from a girl's name to a boy's name. This makes sense. Everything was falling into place. My admiration for Didier, my envy I had for my brothers' bodies, the feelings I had for Amy, and the indecent dreams I've been having. I was always male. Big laughter. I cackled like a fool for the first time in my life. I laughed so hard the side of myself my stomach hurt. It was the first glimmer of light I had seen in this locked room for far too long. This was what I was supposed to look like. My life up until 6 months ago, constricted and uncomfortable, my life as a girl, was all a lie. No one could possibly look at me and call me an angel. I was always a boy, but I've been told I was a girl, forced to act like one. Of course that wouldn't feel right. They need to know. I couldn't be the only one who understood. Everyone in this house needed to. Fueled by this one desire, I wrapped the sheet over my shoulders and threw open the door. It seemed ridiculous how long I had followed Mother's instructions and remained cooped up in my room. I don't know, Val. Now I'm confused. I mean, like, well, okay, we'll see. Because, like, was it magic? Or maybe, you know, I could, well, I mean, in both ways, like, spiritually, but maybe also physically. Maybe Michelle was always a guy. I don't know. I'm not sure. Because maybe did puberty hit. You literally just hit. I don't know. Unless, I don't know. And now I feel fantastic. I feel fantastic. If there truly was a God in heaven, then this change within me was his answer to my prayers. A manservant carrying a tray of food did a double take as I passed him. The farther I proceeded through the corridors, the more eyes I felt on me. The midday sun shone obnoxiously bright through the windows, but now, with its piercing radiation illuminating my proper self, I felt an odd affection for the light. I could hear the family gathered in the great hall, everyone but me. Didier's voice complained about the simple meals the church provided, but his pride came through in his laughter. George's voice playfully bragged about life at the royal court. Father's voice informed everyone his investments had borne fruit, and with money he had purchased several new estates. Mother's voice was distinctly less bright than the rest of the family's. She gave vague, empty indications she was listening, though mostly stayed out of the conversation. Amy's voice sang her praises of George's, her beloved husband. Never mind the fact that she was sleeping with Didier. I was wondering about, maybe I wasn't paying attention, but maybe something did happen? I just wasn't paying attention, I guess. When they were, like, meeting at the garden or whatever they were, courtyard. It was all a facade. A mere shadow of a family, because how would you know they were sleeping together? I don't know. Anyway, I mean, the implications that they would, but... It's a shame Michelle couldn't be here. Then we would have everyone. I was there. I was right there. I hadn't gone anywhere, you just locked me in my room. I hope she recovers soon. I was never sick at all. The child you call Michelle was actually your son. That was all there was to it. Huh? What? Everyone's gaze is concentrated on me. I gave them all a quick glance, and then, with my deepened voice, I said, I'm cured. I was cured 6 months ago. Who are you? Surely you haven't forgotten my face, have you? Father? Michelle? Michelle? This boy is Michelle? A wave of chatter spread through the hall. My mother went pale. Father objected. Didier stared. Georges gaped. Amy watched cautiously, fear in her eyes. What a farce. They were the ones who had wrongly decided I was a girl. What's going on? Someone tell me, what's the meaning of this? You were dressing your son up like a girl, Mother. I assumed he was a girl. Otherwise, I wouldn't have, put my hands on him like that. You lied to me. I would have never agreed to it had I known. No, you're wrong. Michelle's my daughter. You call that a girl? All these months I was worried because you said he was sick. But that was all a lie. You couldn't pass him off as a girl anymore, so you locked him in his room. Is that what this is? Yeah, now I'm wondering, because I always thought, that, he was a trans man, but then maybe he was just always a man. And you could have just stayed there. What possessed you to show yourself now? Stop that, don't look at me. Don't give me that look. You said you can tell what's going on through my mind, didn't you? What? Then you should know exactly how I feel about you right now. Don't be so damn full of yourself. I have no interest in a whore like you. So why don't you cry into Didier's arms? You know? It's a little rude, but... You. What? What are you talking about? Why Didier? Why not me? What? Hey, anyone want to explain that for me? Why once been a nice family meal was now utter chaos. For the briefest moment, I felt sorry for George's, but that whisked away almost immediately. There was a crash from the table, and dishes fell, shattering against the floor. Cursed. A chilling darkness oozed from her voice. She's cursed. She was my daughter. I saw it with my own eyes. I gave birth to her. She was a girl. Michelle was a girl. A malevolent curse was placed on her. My mother lifted her head. I had difficulty believing that was the same woman who had sat by my bedside as I lay sick, sacrificing sleep to take care for me. Her hair was a frazzled mess, and deep creases covered her face. Restrain her, throw her in her room and lock the door. She's a girl. A girl. She was a girl, I swear it. Open your eyes. Do I sound like a girl? Do I look anything like a girl? Mother's cries sent me into a frenzy. I ripped the sheet off my shoulders, throwing it to the floor. I am not a girl. And shouted. Me! Restrain her, please, someone restrain her. We were raining in the Grey Hall, but then several moments of icy silence were broken by muttering that shocked me as much as anyone else. You're not a boy or a girl. What on earth are you? You're an abomination. You're not a boy. You're an abomination. I'm... What? Okay, so... I mean... I see myself in the mirror. I was undoubtedly male. Lacking in strength though they might have been, I had visible muscles. My chest was flat and I was taller than a girl should be. My voice was deep and had an obvious lump in the middle of my throat. I was male. I had to be male. What else could I be? So why was Amy looking at me like some kind of strange creature? A chill ran down my spine. I suddenly found myself deeply uncomfortable being so exposed. There's nothing there. You've got nothing there. Okay, so he's a Ken doll? Nothing there. I didn't understand what she was talking about. Unable to press further, I fell silent, at which point several servants burst into the Great Hall and restrained me. She's a girl. She's my daughter. Mother, seemingly in a mad daze, just repeated the same thing over and over. She was a girl. As Mother wailed, she wandered off somewhere. Father stood there in silence. Amy stared at me with disgust in her eyes. George was still in a panic, and Didier clenched his fists. Eventually, I started regaining my composure, which is when I realized I had made a mistake. My sickness had been made into a curse. Okay, so obviously that's the climax of that scene of his whole story. So here's my theory, though. I mean, he probably is a guy. I mean, if you only think about it scientifically, I guess, like rationally, without any kind of magic anyway, he probably is a guy. It's just. He's just I don't know what ever happened to his crotch area, but either he wasn't simply born with one, or maybe it was cut off for some reason. I don't know, cut off, because there's such thing as eunuchs, right? What do you call them? Eunuchs, whatever. People who basically cut that part off, I guess. Sometimes obviously sometimes voluntarily, but also actually forced to do so because of some kind of punishment or religious reason or whatever. I don't know. But those exist, so I don't know why everyone's so oh no, this is weird. It's I mean, there exist people without that part in the world. It's not like it's like a surprise. I don't know, but I guess everybody is surprised. I guess I don't get it. But probably biologically, Michelle was a guy. Who's just missing. I'm gonna be very blunt about this, but basically he was just missing his dick. That's all. So what? Still a guy, biologically anyway. I don't know. I was once more caged up in my room. You would be I mean, also biologically though, if you were missing, that part of your body, you would definitely have less testosterone flowing through your body. However, that would be the biggest thing. But otherwise though, he's still a guy. I think. But anyway. But I guess, not just physically, but also just mentally. But most of the more cage in my room, I addition to the door being locked from the outside. The windows were boarded over so no one could see in, leaving me in perpetual darkness. I received no visitors except the servants, and again, none of them would look me in the eye. Every day was the same, day in, day out, day in, day out. The only time the routine changed was when on occasion a servant would arrive bearing a letter. It was my mother's handwriting on the parchment. We lived in the same house, yet she refused to show herself before me. I had no choice but to respond to her letters. She demanded I speak like a girl, and I didn't have the strength to defy her. There was a constant sense of urgency to her letters, like she might fall apart completely at any second. And so I did as she said. I signed each letter Michelle, the female name she bestowed upon me at birth, which I so despised. Every time I used that name, I felt like I was denying my own identity. On paper, she expressed her concern for me, but that concern only served to cause me more pain. So every time I took up my quill, my hands trembled. Mother, pray daily that my curse might one day be broken. I feel like this is a result of like a lack of sex ed. This is what happens. And my curse, is that why my body changed? Was it not because I was male? Again, I think, this is not... If a modern scientist, I imagine, would like do a diagnosis, Michelle would be a guy. It's just missing his dick. Why is it? Anyway. There's nothing there. What does she mean by that? Why did she look at me the way she did? I don't know what's a penis. I'm missing a penis? I don't know what that is. Am I an abomination? Why? I don't understand. Someone, anyone. Please tell me. Someone, please. I have brought you your supper. I will be back shortly to retrieve your dishes. Your dishes, rather. I'll be going then. Wait. What? Wait a minute. Yes. What do you need, Michelle? Are you a man or a woman? Pardon? Actually, I don't know. Which are you? There's no like indication, so I don't know. I am exactly what I appear to be. Which are you? I am a man. If that is all, I will be going now. Clothes off. Okay, this is a little... Clothes off now. What? Take off your clothes right now. Everything, even your underclothes. Surely you jest, Michelle? I'm very serious. I could not possibly. Why not? I could not expose myself. I ordered you to take off your clothes. You mean to humiliate me? I beg you, please reconsider. What are you? Are you a servant of Bellinger Estate? And what am I? I am a child of the Bellinger family. I may be locked up, imprisoned in this room, but that doesn't make you any less my servant. Am I wrong? Clothes off. Okay. Without context, it's like silly. Michelle, I ordered you to take your clothes off. Not even the tiniest sliver of guilt arose in my conscience. I felt no shame with what I was doing. All that mattered to me was figuring out what Ami had meant. I wanted to find out the truth, not knowing I would have been better off in the dark. His face twisted in humiliation. The servant undressed before me. In the dim candlelight, the man's body was shaped almost like a rectangle. At a glance, he didn't appear much different than me. A second later, though, I found my answer. I found the one crucial thing he had that I didn't. Why? My lower body lacked the part that made a man a man. I mean, I get there's people that exist without that part. They're still guys. Anyway, are you satisfied, Michelle? It was then that I finally learned what a man's body was supposed to look like. I beg you, please allow me to dress. It would be an unbearable shame to remain unclothed any longer. Before the young Bellinger daughter... Daughter? You still insist on calling me a damn girl. Look at these shoulders, my chest, listen to my voice. How can you possibly think of any of that belongs to a girl? But how you appear does not... There's a distinct look of the fear in the manservant's eyes. Not out of respect for a difference in rank, but out of disgust for this incomprehensible thing standing there before him. Those trembling eyes, and the reality dangling there before me, blew the lid once more off everything I had been holding back. Without that, you'd be no different than me. What? Everything else is all the same. So why does it make such a difference? That you have one and I don't. Michelle? I am a man. I'm a man just like you. I'm no one's daughter. If you still insist we're not the same, then I'll make you like me. Ah! Without that, you're no different than me. It was a mix of dread and panic that pushed me over the edge, and so in order to keep myself afloat, I decided to bring another pain. Please don't do this, Michelle. It was very painful. I'll probably die from blood loss. In a blood frenzy, I hardly even aware of what I was doing, just riding the current of my erupting emotions. I swiped a knife off the tray the man had brought, knocked him down, and climbed onto him. I'll get rid of it. I'll make you the same. Without it, you'll just be like me. Get off me, please. Someone help. I'll make you just like me. Get in here, someone, anyone. Michelle, she's delirious. Through the fog of hysteria, I suddenly realized I was surrounded by several servants, and the next thing I knew, I was on the floor beneath them. There were as many, if not more of them, than when I made the scene in the Great Hall. A dozen men servants stared out at me, their eyes filled with fear and revulsion. In the shadows beyond the crowd, I saw Mother looking at me with vacant eyes. Mother, why? Why will you only speak to me through letters? Why do you say I'm cursed? Mother, I'm male. I was always male. Tell me that I am, Mother. Let me out of here, please. I'm not delirious. My head is perfectly clear. I'm normal. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm not cursed. Mother, say something. Mother! After that, I was shut in my room again. And even the servants stopped coming. I pushed and I shoved and I pulled and I pounded with all my strength, but the door and windows didn't budge. A day passed and then another. With no food or water, I started fearing death was upon me. I had no idea how miserable it was to go so long without water. My throat was dry and cracked, and felt like it was on fire, making breathing difficult. 2 days. 48 long hours. Felt like I was going to lose my mind. After just 2 days, my skin stretched tight across my bones, looking hard and dry in the soft candlelight. Water. I need water. Someone, please. Give me water. Why won't anyone bring me any... Why? I thought my family had abandoned me, and were leaving me to die in this room. When I realized I had broken into an uncontrollable shaking, the helplessness threatened to suffocate me. Fear of death turned to panic, which only scrambled my already confused mind further. I grabbed the chair, swinging out the window at the door. But all of my attempts ended in crushing failure. Anyone! I clawed at the door, begging for help. Someone! Open the door! Anyone! Water! I need water, 1 drop, that's all I need. I'm going to die in here. Someone! Anyone! Mother! Father! Lydia! Georges! Someone open the door, please! Help me! Someone! I need water! My throat hurts, it burns. I'm so weak. Someone water! Lydia, Georges, Anyone! Everyone's just ignore the problem, I guess. Just leave in the room, let them just slowly waste away. These nobles. Always kind of evil. But not a single soul came to the door. With no food or water, the 3rd day came and went, and then the 4th. At that point, I was expectedly devoid of any sense of dignity, and I sat there covered in all manner of human filth, and my body quickly wasted away. Still, I clung to the vain hope that someone would open that door. It was all I had. Occasionally, I would hear footsteps. Whenever I did, I mustered up what meager strength I had left to bang on the door. Whoever's there, please, open the door. Begging you, someone. But my pleas fell on deaf ears. Though they didn't respond to me, I could hear the Abigails muttering to one another in the corridor. Oh, it's a monster. You know, don't talk to it. Did you hear that? Yes, I did. I wonder what's gone to Lady Michelle. They say she was cursed. Maybe she sold her soul to the devil. How dreadful. We should stay away from that door. We don't want to be cursed too. Nobody knows that Michelle's not being fed, I guess. I'm not cursed. I did not sell my soul to the devil. I'm kind of scared. How about if I work somewhere else? Gotta make sure we stay from that door. Why do you think I'm cursed? I never did anything wrong. Lady Michelle's lost her mind. She's deranged. I'm scared even thinking about her. I'm not deranged. My mind is perfectly fine. He's right crazy. She's right mad. No, I'm not. I'm perfectly normal. Hee hee. Hilarious. Ah! Someone, please, get me out of here. You know, as Michelle is begging for water, let me just take a drink from my water bottle, by the way. The 5th and the 6th day passed, and by that point I was hovering on death's brink. I lacked even the willpower to hold myself up against the door, so I simply lay on the cold floor waiting for the end. This is a horrible way to go, by the way. It's one of the worst ways to go, just slowly like starving and dying of dehydration. I felt no sorrow, no anger, no despair, nothing. I'd been sucked completely dry. I couldn't even compose a coherent thought. Which is why when I opened the door I had yearned to open actually did. And someone stepped inside, standing over me. I was unable to process it. My god, what a mess. Hey, are you still alive? I don't know who's saying this, but... well, look at that. I was afraid you'd be dead. It was Ami's voice. Oh, it was Ami? Why does she look so evil? Dahlia. Anyway, I'm sorry, really. I didn't mean you much harm. But after what you said in front of the whole family, I was a little upset. I could tell what she was saying. All I could hear was garbled sounds. All I could do was moan at her. The servants are all afraid of you now after your little episode, so I volunteered to bring your food in their place. Okay, that's what happened. Also kind of similar to Maria, by the way. Same Maria vibes. Everyone was so grateful. I don't think anyone likes you anymore. Eventually, my muddy mind managed to make sense of the thing she was holding in her hands. A tray of food. I could smell it from here. Ugh. At first, I just gave your food to a stray cat. I wish you could have seen it devouring every last bit. Water. What I didn't know, though, was that people can die just a few days without water. I mean, yes. I never intended to kill you. I just didn't know. So I'm really sorry about that. Water. When you're alive, but also physically weak, you sure are tenacious. Is that nice? You have one thing you can be proud of. Water. What's that? Water? You want water? Hold on. I got some right here. She picked up a goblet with her delicate fingers. My hands swept weakly there trying to grab it. A grin spread across her lips. And then she let go. Go on, drink. You better hurry or the rug will absorb it all. You wanted water, didn't you? Then drink. In that moment, I could hear the sound of the last of my dignity crumbling away. Driven solely by my survival instinct, I bent down toward the rug, pressing my lips against the spreading puddle. I mean, you gotta drink. Either that or you die. You really did it. This is too good, Michelle. You look like a cat. No, cats are much more graceful. I can't stop laughing. The daughter of a prestigious family, the Bellingers, sucking water out of a carpet. I wish I had a painter here to capture this image on canvas. So, you know, I accept that I made a mistake, Michelle. I promise I'll bring you your food from now on. I'll take very good care of you. This is going to be fun. Listening to her childish yet malicious laughter, I understood. I was her plaything now. My hell was only just beginning. Having gotten food and water, my body recovered somewhat. I was hardly in peak condition. That would take some time given how badly malnourished I had been. Abby continued to treat me like her pet, constantly stoking the flame of rage within me. I was too weak to stay on my feet for long, and talking hurt my throat. I assumed it was a calculated effort on her part to maintain power over me, to keep me as miserable as possible. She always had a smirk on her face as she gazed down on me. She just evil? I mean, at first I was thinking like she was upset because Michelle was trying to expose her affair. So maybe she was getting a little bit of revenge. But now she's just getting sadistic pleasure from this. So I mean, I don't know. Come on, open up. Today I'm gonna feed you myself. What's the matter? I can't put anything in your mouth with your mouth closed. Or do you want to starve to death? Ami, why are you doing this? Why? Because it's fun. Why else? You married in this family, you sick wench. What gives you the idea you could treat me? Are you saying that because I'm married in? I'm of lesser stature than you. That's true, I am. But what's your point? You think you can intimidate me with formalities? Ami, ew. I'd rather you not speak my name, if you wouldn't mind. That doesn't excuse your treatment of me. Someone, Lydia or George will make you pay for this. You don't have a single friend here, Michelle. No one to take your side, and no one to say a thing about me playing with you. Assuming you are somehow able to tell someone, no one would believe you. That's a lie. Do you have any idea what people say about you? They say you've gone mad, that you sold your soul to the devil. Do you honestly believe anyone would trust you? I'm not mad. I don't know. You look plenty mad to me. Ah. Fine, then I'll run away. I'll escape from this estate from you. You think you'll survive out there in the world with that body? A stray cat could live more than you. You'll never find work. I give you a week at best. You can't be sure of that. Maybe I can make it on my own. Maybe. But either way, there's no way you're getting out. You try to run and someone might just cut your legs off. How's that all necessary? Don't ask me. Maybe because your curse hasn't broken? You know, you're lucky you're even allowed to live. And you should be grateful for me volunteering to take care of you. Nobody else wanted to have to do anything to do with it. So, if you want to keep living, you have to show me some respect, and you have to do everything I tell you to do. Understood? So this is the real you? You were just pretending to be respectable, when in reality not only were you sleeping with Didier, you're a downright vile woman. You've been putting on an act ever since you got here. Oh, you make it sound like I'm somehow worse than anyone else. I'm quite normal, thank you. How's this normal? Listen to me, Michelle. This is just how it is, and all nobility is just evil. The side of me you see right now isn't necessarily the whole thing. The sweet girl I am for the family is also me. And when I held you in my arms, that too was me. I'm not putting on an act. Liar. Although, to tell you the truth, I never actually liked you, so that part was a lie, yes. If Mother hadn't asked, I wouldn't have even considered getting friendly with you. Ami. You know, life as a noble woman is so dull. You know, I'm just so rich and just have everything ever. I never have to like starve or, you know, fear for my life ever. I just have the greatest life ever. So, you know, because I have such a great life, I'm just gonna torture people. It's fun, right? I guess. I don't know. Life of a woman is so dull. It's so restrictive. No room for love at all. So can you really blame me? They're so happy to be the most wonderful knight right there for the taking. Why shouldn't I have gone after him? I'm still young. Let me have some fun, you know? Not like women have much else in the way of recreation. So it wasn't Didier, but you who seduced him? And it would all worked out beautifully too, if you had only kept your mouth shut. You ruined our family gathering and damaged our reputation. And you called me a whore. That wasn't very nice, now was it? Is there any surprise I'm a little sore? You brought this on yourself, Michelle. I brought this on myself? Don't you dare. Nothing justifies what you're doing to me. I'm not the disturbed one, you're the crazy whore, and don't try and pretend you're otherwise, damn you. Oh my, such language. You're not being very nice to me, Michelle. Girls aren't supposed to talk like that, you know? I'm not a girl. Then what are you? I'm a man. A man? With that body. Ami quietly rose, grabbed me by the hair and shoved me to the floor. Let go of me. You call yourself a man. You can't even get out of a girl's grip. Well, that's because you've been, you know, starving me to death, so that's not fair to say, anyway. I'm not that strong either. In fact, I'm rather weak. Just a small, powerless girl. If you were a man, you have no problem breaking free, malnourished or otherwise. I mean, I would argue against that. I mean, like, have you seen someone, like, literally starving to death? Literally skin and bones? I don't know if they would do anything. But you can't. She traced the lines of my emaciated ribs with her nails, traveling slowly down my chest. But even ignoring that, you're missing the most important part. Stop. Get off me. I tried to shove her aside with all the strength I could squeeze out of my arms, but as Ami has said, I couldn't even outpower a girl. All I could do was lie there beneath her and beg. Get off me! Groaning in anger and frustration. Her fingers came to a stop just above my navel. She looked at me with a sweet smile and pulled her hand away. And just as a wave of relief spread through me, she shoved me back, jumped up, and slammed her foot between my legs. Ah! I shuddered as the pain jolted up my spine. Wait, she like literally stepping on him and Abby looked down at me as I screamed. Ah! I smirked smiled across her face. Oh my, does that hurt? There's a surprise. Even without boy parts, it still hurts. I mean, it would, you know? It doesn't matter if you have it or not. It's a very sensitive part of the body. Stop, please. She didn't stop by stepping on me. I'm begging you, stop. She dug her toes into my flesh. What are you exactly, Michelle? From the feel of it, you don't quite have the proper girl parts either. Ami, please. On top of the physical pain, unbearable humiliation and shame corroded away my spirit. What a strange creature you are. Stop. Stop. If I could die right there and then, honestly, that would have been preferable to the emotional hell she was putting me through. You should take a look at yourself in the mirror, Michelle. You're crying. Sobbing like a sad little girl. Not much of a boy, are you? And you lusted after me with this body? Seriously, you're disgusting. I can't believe you actually had the gall to fall for me. Well, this is where his trauma came from, you know, in terms of, I guess, falling in love with someone, with just like Giselle. That's why he was very hesitant, I guess. He didn't want to be stepped on. Ami's abuse was not a one-time occurrence. As she had promised, she came to feed me every day, but her arrival brought nothing but anguish and torture. Every day she chipped away more of my spirit, but I hadn't succumbed to her yet. My anger still overpowered any fear I felt. About a week after Abby started caring for me. Have you been a good girl, Michelle? I bought you your supper. I'll sit right here for you. What's the matter, Michelle? Your food's right there. It's gonna get cold. Go on, eat. No using your hands. Curl over and use your mouth. Come on, eat. Or would you rather I fed you again? You. What was that? You have something to say? Oh, can't understand what you're saying, Michelle. If you will eat, you will have enough strength to talk. Kill you. Huh? I'm going to kill you, Amy. That was, I believe, the first time in my life I felt a sincere, overpowering desire to end someone's life. I wanted to see her dead. With my hands and legs tied up, I lurched for her. And like the dog she wanted me to be, I chomped down her wrists. Ah! Taste someone else's blood was far more unpleasant than I expected. I felt like I was going to vomit. Ugh. I was determined not to let go of her wrist for any reason. I would gnaw through the bone and rip her entire hand off. She could beat me unconscious and I still wouldn't let go. She had to kill me to get me off of her. I wanted her to feel the same pain I felt, but she trampled on me. Let go! My body never did what I wanted it to, though. I could swear on my life I wouldn't release her arm. I could never seem to make good on my determination. Ugh! Ami's foot flew up into my emaciated gut. The pointed tip of her shoe dug into my flesh like a knife. I collapsed to the floor in a fit of convulsions. And just as I was about to cough up a mouthful of stomach acid, she rammed her foot into my abdomen a second time. Ugh! She didn't give me enough time to get to my feet, let alone fight back, before she kicked me again. Ugh! Again and again and again and again. Ugh! Stop! My gut, my chest, my legs, and my face. What's wrong with you? Don't you get it? You're not the one in control here. You should be thanking me. What you did to me today was incredibly hurtful. And here I am, I'm bringing you your food. Cannot you see how kind-hearted I am? So why would you go and bite me? What possessed you to do such a thing? Gasping for breath, my consciousness slipping away from me, I caught a glimpse of Ami's eyes as she swung her leg back for another kick. And when I did, a single word rose to my mind. Demon. Isn't that something? You can't even stand up to a girl. I'm not that strong. I'm weak and frail. This is the first time I ever kicked someone. I have absolute control over you, Michelle. You understand that now, right? You learned your lesson, didn't you? Not an ounce of strength remained within me. My tongues and cheeks were torn up, and my mouth tasted of blood. Thinking herself weak and having no experience in the ways of physical violence, she knew no restraint. The ignorant can be much more brutal and viciously relentless than the seasoned. My vision had gone red. I could hardly feel my own face. There was a strange gurgling sound with every breath I took. Jeez. What am I gonna do about this hand? It hurts like crazy. Oh, I know. I'll tell you when you finally lost it. I tried to bite my hand off. I mean, that's kind of half true. That's half the truth, you know? They'll all feel so bad for me. I can see the sad looks on Diddy and George's faces. You know your brothers have completely given up on you. A deranged sister is nothing but trouble. You know what you are, Michelle. You're a demon child. Why was I the demon and not her? Why did no one come to my aid? Several times I considered ending my own life, but every time I did, memories of better days came back to me. Of the time before my body had transformed, the days when we were all so sure of our happiness, kept me chained to life. Why couldn't things still be the way they had been? In my heart, I hadn't changed at all. So how had things ended up like this?